Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning we'll be in Joshua chapter 16, verse 1 through chapter 18, verse 28. The land allotted to Joseph's descendants extended from the Jordan at Jericho to the waters of Jericho to the east, through the desert, and on up from Jericho into the hill country of Bethel. The southern border extended from Bethel to Luz, and crossed to Archite territory at Adaroth. It then descended westward to Japhlethite territory, as far as the territory of Lower Beth Horon and Gezer, and ended at the sea. Joseph's descendants, Manasseh and Ephraim, were assigned their land. The territory of the tribe of Ephraim, by its clans, included the following. The border of their assigned land to the east was Adaroth Adar, as far as Upper Beth Horon. It then extended on to the sea, with Mikmethoth on the north. It turned eastward to Tanath Shiloh, and crossed it on the east to Janoah. It then descended from Janoah to Adaroth and Nara, touched Jericho, and extended to the Jordan River. From Tappuah, it went westward to the valley of Kana, and ended at the sea. This is the land assigned to the tribe of Ephraim by its clans. Also included were the cities set apart for the tribe of Ephraim within Manasseh's territory, along with their towns. The Ephraimites did not conquer the Canaanites living in Gezer. The Canaanites live among the Ephraimites to this very day and do hard labor as their servants. The tribe of Manasseh, Joseph's firstborn, was also allotted land. The descendants of Machir, Manasseh's firstborn and the father of Gilead, received land, for they were warriors. They were assigned Gilead and Bashan. The rest of Manasseh's descendants were also assigned land by their clans, including the descendants of Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemida. These were all the male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters. These are their names: Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They went before Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders, and said, "The Lord told Moses to assign us land among our relatives." So Joshua assigned them land among their uncles, as the Lord had commanded. Manasseh was allotted 10 shares of land, in addition to the land of Gilead and Bashan east of the Jordan. For the daughters of Manasseh were assigned land among his sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The border of Manasseh went from Asher to Mikmethoth, which is near Shechem. It then went south toward those who live in Tappuah. The land of Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but Tappuah, located on the border of Manasseh, belonged to the tribe of Ephraim. The border then descended southward to the valley of Kana. Ephraim was assigned cities there among the cities of Manasseh, but the border of Manasseh was north of the valley and ended at the sea. Ephraim's territory was to the south, and Manasseh's to the north. The sea was Manasseh's western border, and the territory touched Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar's and Asher's territory, Manasseh was assigned Beth Shean, Ibleam, the residents of Dor, Endor, the residents of Tanakh, the residents of Megiddo, the 3 of Napheth, and the towns surrounding all these cities. But the men of Manasseh were unable to conquer these cities. The Canaanites managed to remain in those areas. Whenever the Israelites were strong militarily, they forced the Canaanites to do hard labor, but they never totally conquered them. The descendants of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you assigned us only one tribal allotment? After all, we have many people, for until now the Lord has enabled us to increase in number." Joshua replied to them, "Since you have so many people, go up into the forest and clear out a place to live in the land of the Perizzites and the Rephaites, for the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you." The descendants of Joseph said, "The whole hill country is inadequate for us, and the Canaanites living down in the valley in Beth Shean and its surrounding towns, and in the valley of Jezreel, have chariots with iron-rimmed wheels." Joshua said to the family of Joseph, to both Ephraim and Manasseh, "You have many people and great military strength. You will not have just one tribal allotment. The whole hill country will be yours. Though it is a forest, you can clear it, and it will be entirely yours. You can conquer the Canaanites, though they have chariots with iron-rimmed wheels and are strong." The entire Israelite community assembled at Shiloh, and there they set up the tent of meeting. Though they had subdued the land, 7 Israelite tribes had not been assigned their allotted land. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long do you intend to put off occupying the land the Lord God of your ancestors has given you? Pick 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to walk through the land and make a map of it for me. Divide it into 7 regions. Judah will stay in its territory to the south, and the family of Joseph in its territory in the north. But as for you, map out the land into 7 regions and bring it to me. I will draw lots for you here before the Lord our God. But the Levites will not have an allotted portion among you, for their inheritance is to serve the Lord. Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their allotted land east of the Jordan, which Moses, the Lord's servant, assigned them." When the men started out, Joshua told those going to map out the land, "Go, walk through the land, map it out, and return to me. Then I will draw lots for you before the Lord here in Shiloh." The men journeyed through the land and mapped it and its cities out into 7 regions on a scroll. Then they came to Joshua at the camp in Shiloh. Joshua drew lots for them in Shiloh before the Lord and divided the land among the Israelites according to their allotted portions. The first lot belonged to the tribe of Benjamin by its clans. Their allotted territory was between Judah and Joseph. Their northern border started at the Jordan, went up to the slope of Jericho on the north, ascended westward to the hill country, and extended to the desert of Beth-aven. It then crossed there to Luz, to the slope of Luz, to the south, that is Bethel, and descended to Adaroth-Adar, located on the hill that is south of Lower Beth-horon. It then turned on the west side, southward from the hill near Beth-horon, on the south, and extended to Kiriath-baal, that is Kiriath-jearim, a city belonging to the tribe of Judah. This is the western border. The southern side started at the edge of Kiriath-jearim and extended westward into the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The border then descended to the edge of the hill country near the valley of Ben Hinnom, located in the valley of the Rephaites to the north. It descended through the valley of Hinnom to the slope of the Jebusites to the south, and then down to En-rogel. It went northward, extending to En-shemesh and Geliloth, opposite the pass of Adumim, and descended to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. It crossed to the slope in front of the Arabah to the north and descended into the Arabah. It then crossed to the slope of Beth Hoglah to the north and ended at the northern tip of the Salt Sea at the mouth of the Jordan River. This was the southern border. The Jordan River borders it on the east. These were the borders of land assigned to the tribe of Benjamin by its clans. These cities belonged to the tribe of Benjamin by its clans: Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek Keziz, Beth Arabah, Zemarim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Kepher, Ammoni, Ophni, and Geba, a total of 12 cities and their towns: Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kephra, Moza, Rechem, Irpeel, Tarlah, Zelah, Haseleph, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath, a total of 14 cities and their towns. This was the land assigned to the tribe of Benjamin by its clans. Okay, so you have in 16 land being assigned to the tribe of Ephraim. Then in 17, you have territory being assigned to the other tribe of Manasseh, but despite a portion being assigned to them, it was too small for them. So they complained about this to Joshua, and Joshua said, "Oh, go up into the hill country and get that for yourselves too." And they're like, "It's scary, they have iron chariots." And it's like, don't worry, the hill country, you can get it, and you're a big tribe, you can do it. So also those 3 women, well, actually 5 women, Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, the daughters of Machir, who was son of Manasseh. They're also given their tribal allotments when the tribe of Manasseh is given their tribal allotments. So So I wonder, we have this large scale portioning up of Israel for the various tribes, but it sounds like there's also smaller scale portioning up of the land that's going on because individual families within these tribes are getting pieces of property as well, such as the daughters of Zelophehad. So, oh, and like Caleb and certain of the warriors, like Caleb got Hebron, and in 17:1, the descendants of Machir, Manasseh's firstborn, and the father of Gilead received land, for they were warriors. So they were assigned Gilead and Bashan. So it seems to me that there's some portioning going up here for individual families and as well as the tribe. And so it looks like after this, Israel is assembled at Shiloh, which is where they set up the tent of meeting, which has the Ark of the Covenant and like the place for the showbread and all of that. It's basically the tabernacle. So that's in Shiloh, and it stays there for a while. Because not until the days of Solomon does it really get... I mean, it gets captured a couple times, but not until the days of Solomon does it officially move to Jerusalem. So yeah, Joshua sends out 3 men from each tribe of the remaining tribes and divides the remaining land into 7 regions. And it's like, go occupy those, because at this point Joshua is very old, and it seems like the military campaign has puttered out somewhat here. Yeah, and so we also got the mapping of the tribe of Benjamin as well. Anywho, carrying on. Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 27. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through it. Now a man named Zacharias was there. He was the chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to get a look at Jesus, but being a short man, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, because Jesus was going to pass that way. And when Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly, because I must stay at your house today." So he came down quickly and welcomed Jesus joyfully. And when the people saw it, they all complained. He said he has gone in to be the guest of a man who was a sinner. But Zacchaeus stopped and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, half of my possessions I now give to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone of anything, I am paying back 4 times as much." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this household, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." While the people were listening to these things, Jesus proceeded to tell a parable, because he was near to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear immediately. Therefore he said, "A nobleman went to a distant country to receive for himself a kingdom and then return. And he summoned 10 of his slaves, gave them 10 minas, and said to them, 'Do business with these until I come back.' But his citizens hated him, and sent a delegation after him, saying, 'We do not want this man to be king over us.' When he returned after receiving the kingdom, he summoned these slaves to him, to whom he had given the money. He wanted to know how much they had earned by trading. So the first one came before him and said, 'Sir, your mina has made 10 minas more.' And the king said to him, 'Well done, good slave. Because you've been faithful in a very small matter, you will have authority over 10 cities.' Then the second one came and said, 'Sir, your mina has made 5 minas.' So the king said to him, 'And you are to be over 5 cities.' Then another slave came and said, 'Sir, Here is your mina that I put away for safekeeping in a piece of cloth. For I was afraid of you, because you are a severe man. You withdraw what you did not deposit, and reap what you did not sow. The king said to him, I will judge you by your own words, you wicked slave. So you knew, did you, that I was a severe man, withdrawing what I didn't deposit, and reaping what I didn't sow? Why then didn't you put my money in the bank, so that when I returned, I could have collected it with interest? And he said to his attendants, Take the mina from him, and give it to the one who has 10. But they said to him, Sir, he has 10 minas already. I tell you that everyone who has will be given more, but from the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. But as for these enemies of mine, who did not want me to be their king, bring them here and slaughter them in front of me. Ooh. So you have two stories here with Jesus entering Jericho, and a tax collector there named Zacchaeus, who Jesus goes to his house, and Zacchaeus, overwhelmed by Jesus, says to him in 19:8, Look, Lord, half of my possessions I now give to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone of anything, I am paying back 4 times as much. Then Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this household, because he too is a son of Abraham. And what Jesus says there reminds me of, I think both he and John said to the Pharisees, that is, if you're a son of Abraham, then do the deeds of Abraham. So, yeah. And then you have a parable about money usage, where this nobleman goes away for some time and delegates the oversight of his kingdom to these 3 slaves. And they have certain resources allotted to them. And 2 of them do well with the resources that they were given, but one does not. Yeah. And so what was given to him is taken away. So I think, yeah, with the resources that we have, we should seek to serve and honor God with them, because our lives are not our own, and ultimately they belong to God. So so we should seek to honor God with our bodies, and not only in our bodies, with our material wealth, and so let me see what Guzik has to say here. Sure, there's something. Lots on Zacchaeus. Yeah, this parable is different than the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. Here, 10 servants were each given an equal amount of money, worth about 3 months of wages for a working man. God distributes some gifts differently, according to his own pleasure. Others are universally given to every believer, such as the gospel, which is given to each Christian in equal measure. So, when the master returned, he dealt first with his servants. He later dealt with rebellious citizens, but they were not his first concern. He first wanted to know how faithful his servants had been in his absence. The first servant brought a good report. He did business with his master's mina and had 10 more to show for it. An impressive 1,000% increase. Each of the servants credited the gift of the master, your mina, for the work instead of their own effort or intelligence. The third servant did not have a good report. He did not obey the master's command to do business till I come. He merely kept the master's resources and did no good with them. The third servant excused his disobedience by claiming that his master was so powerful that he didn't need the servant's help. You collect what you did not deposit and reap what you did not sow. The master did not reward the third servant. Instead, he rebuked him because the great power of the master should have inspired the servant to greater diligence, not to disobedience and laziness. It would have been easy for the servant to do something with his master's resources. That is, why then did you not put my money in the bank? Yet out of disobedience he did nothing. This helps us to understand the plan of the master. It was not to make money by his servants, but to make character in them. He didn't need them to make money, but they needed to work with him to build their character. Which reminds me a lot of what C.S. Lewis says about reality, that that it's a soul forge. That is something ultimately designed to create beings that are going to live forever. So, in the Christian life, we do not stand still. We use our gifts and make progress or lose what we have. The main point of the parable is clear. The kingdom will be delayed, so we must concentrate on being faithful servants in the meantime. Our master has gone away to a far country and will one day return with his kingdom. In the meantime, we are commanded to do business with what he has given us until he returns. Carrying on, Psalm 87, verses 1 through 7. The Lord's city is in the holy hills. The Lord loves the gates of Zion more than all the dwelling places of Jacob. People say wonderful things about you, O city of God. Selah. I mention Rahab and Babylon to my followers. Here are Philistia and Tyre, along with Ethiopia. It is said of them, this one was born there. But it is said of Zion's residents, each one of these was born in her, and the sovereign one makes her secure. The Lord writes in the census book of the nations, this one was born there. Selah. As for the singers, as well as the pipers, all of them sing within your walls. Interesting. The psalm is titled The Privileges of Citizenship in Zion. And finally, Proverbs 13, verse 11. Wealth gained quickly will dwindle away, but the one who gathers it little by little will become rich. And I know that ultimately proves true for people who end up actually winning the lottery. Oftentimes go bankrupt very shortly afterwards. I can't remember the exact statistics, but yeah, in that way, wealth gained quickly will dwindle away. And it makes sense because the skills to handle that much money haven't been developed. So, anywho, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a great day.